Hi, welcome back for Tezos Technical Analysis with me, your pal Rocky Outcrop. We're all Rocky Outcrop competitions in this channel together. Let's dive on into the charts and see what's been going on. So hi, thanks for joining me. Up behind me we've got the Tezos versus US dollar chart currently. It's the 4-hour chart that we've got up there. But before we look at the charts, I just wanted to say, if any of you are interested in why the Bitcoin and whether or not it would be a safe haven asset and really essentially all cryptocurrencies really, and how that process would happen in the face of the coronavirus and the impact the coronavirus is having on the world and how that's affecting money markets and the economics behind the whole thing and all this, it's super interesting stuff, then I highly recommend checking out the video by TradeSpot, which I'll link to at the end of this one. So anyway, thanks for joining me, liking, subscribing, all that good jazz. Now, what are we looking at in terms of this 4-hour chart just now? We have an overall sort of, I suppose you can say, a downtrend here. This would be a low, this is a lower low, this is a lower low. Likewise, this is a high, lower highs, and all that sort of stuff. And if we look across the board, looking at the tops in this downtrend for signs of hidden bearish divergence, well, there isn't any. Looking at the lows in this downtrend in terms of bullish divergence, well, there isn't any, not unless this here were to become the next low at the very end of this. You might see the things ticking around a wee bit. So you could see things ticking around a wee bit at the very tail end of things, but what operates against that? We have the DMI currently going against that. Now, this red part of the DMI, that's the ADX, and I'm not going to explain how this works exactly, just suffice it to say that when it's above 20, then you've got a strong trend on the go, and that the orange line is the negative and the blue line is the positive, and you can see that they're diverging away from each other, which is an indicator that the trend is strong and strengthening to the downside. So that there is kind of fairly negative, in which case let's just nip back over to the sort of horizontal lines and choose our targets and say, well, 230 is actually a pretty decent target for, now I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, but yeah, that's where I would be longing it at actually, in terms of playing the support and resistance here, long in it here and looking to take profit probably around that 21 EMA, and then if I was greedy, going up towards the next sort of horizontal line there at the $2.90, but that would be quite greedy, because if you go past this Fibonacci retracement point here, which is of course the 382, in at around $2.75. So there could be the three sort of upward side targets if I were to be doing that, which I would have done actually, having coming down here to this particular line here, right here, because as well it's the 50% retrace area, and as we know, so often the prices do retrace from that 50% point. But of course I'd be very much weak-handedly holding on to that strong opinion, and if as soon as the prices were to open and close on the 4-hour time frame, for instance, below that 230 price point, then I would absolutely have my eyes set towards the $1.90, and I might even flip short at that point as well. So there you go, that's why I'd be managing it. And of course, put somewhere between $1.90 $2, somewhere between $2, $1.98 and $1.90 or $1.88 will be in that sort of golden pocket region there, depending on how greedy you want to be about things. Now, of course, as well, if you were to be sort of not greedy about things, you could kind of look towards where our last high was here and go for something above the $2 if you were taking profit. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but that would be the interim there targets for me. Let's just have a quick look at the differential between our sort of big boy exchanges like Coinbase and Binance and that, and then the sort of the shitty HitBTC exchange, which is has a lot more price history for Tezos, but of course seems to have this sort of liquidity issues and stuff like that. Now the price there is 232 and the price here is 245, so we're still got this 13 cents difference in prices. Now let's look over to this here and see what we're looking at. Now this is normally where we like to be, pardon me, bullish on the prices. Now, of course, you can see that I was doing saving all my bullish talk for the Coinbase here, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to flip it over and be sort of bearish here in this sense, because look, we're on the 4-hour time frame, we're below all of the major moving averages and below our sort of price point there of the 258. Now we've come down, we've actually met our next target that we had in mind here, and we've spoken about in the past at the sort of 230 and whatnot, and we can look down now again for further lower targets. Where could they possibly become in at? But I really do want to see the positivity that we've seen, that I was sort of talking about on the USD prices on the Coinbase chart, come into effect and try and say that things will turn around, or else I'm just going to not even going to draw a full horizontal. I'm just going to put that there, or else, you know, that's my sort of my Alamo there. And of course, if I'm shorting this, then that's where I'm taking profit at as well on this particular chart. But looking, if this we open and close 4 hours below there, then things, you know, we've lost. We've had this big top here on the go, and maybe we had some sort of, I don't know, some sort of distribution type thing on the go there. So let's just take a look then to sort of wrap things up at the Bitcoin pairing. Now, as you can see, we're still inside this triangle, and that can't be said for other assets which have had similar setups. For instance, the Chainlink here, for instance. Now, a little bit of chat, and when I've been sharing these videos on Facebook, for instance, one person saying, oh, Chainlink's the best, somebody else, Tezos is the best, and that sort of jazz. Well, of course, everything's going to have its idiosyncrasies and its prices and work in different ways, but Chainlink, it broke out to the downside of its symmetrical triangle. Could we be looking at something potentially the same sort of thing happening here with this one? Well, you know, there's two ways that could happen. If the dollar price tanked, and if the Bitcoin price for actual Bitcoin of itself were to suddenly rise on up. Looking at the Bitcoin prices, does that look like it's imminent about to happen? Well, it does not necessarily. I mean, I do have opinions about these things, and I was talking about in the Bitcoin video that my kind of opinion is slightly towards the upside currently with this one. But the technicals are to the downside, and since we're talking Tezos here, then I can see Bitcoin going down. Now that might make this persevere within this area a bit longer, even if the USD prices do change a wee bit. Now, if the USD prices go up a wee bit, maybe we could see this going up towards the top of this symmetrical triangle. Until such times as it breaks, I won't be actually taking any sort of trades either way with it. And of course, if it were to sort of break out anywhere in this area, then you're looking sort of more or less now. So if we measure this thing, say that it's about 181 bars, what's 3/4 of that? 3/4 of it's about 140 or so. Then yeah, you can see that we're 135 bars in now. So you know, we're looking towards that area where typically these things do break out. Now, could it go either way? Of course it could. So I'm not going to say that which way it would definitely go. If it did break out, then to the downside, then actually I wouldn't want the full measured move. I'd look to take profit here at that sort of $2.48 area. And if it went to the upside, then again, I wouldn't be looking for the full measured move. Wouldn't try and be quite so greedy. I would take profit at our previous highs over here at 3,866 instead of looking for the full 420, but 4,200 Satoshis. Whatever, you get the point. You see what I'm saying there. Anyway, yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you want to see that Corona video, I've linked it in the description and in the suggested videos bit at the end here. I highly recommend checking it out. So take a wee gander at that and let me know what you think in the comments down below. And then of course, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in.